also work on the mediumship side as well. And I'm also an intuitive coach. So with that, what I mean is, coaching, life coaching is all about getting you through your blocks, understanding how you can move forward and make life better for you, and to learn how to become more confident. Now, I work with my intuition to help you with that. So as we work on what it is you want to achieve and what you're finding hard to get through, then I'll work with my psychic side as well to see what's going on in your energy, what's happening with you, what's holding you back, where the blocks are coming through. And then I just gently tease it from you so that you discover yourself. I'm not going to say to you, this is what your problem is, this is what we need to work on.
No, absolutely.
Because it helps much more that you discover it yourself. But what can happen is I can see where the issues are and then guide you down that road so that you pick up the cues yourself. And
I always describe it as being like a map reader, isn't it? It's like you're walking along with someone and you're holding the map and you're like, but they're choosing where to go, kind of thing. And you're just kind of helping them, aren't you? It's amazing.
Absolutely. And as we unpack what's within, because the journey really is about focusing inwards and actually looking at self. And as we unpack the things that we're carrying around in our subconscious that creates sabotages and blocks that we don't even realize is happening, as we unpack those things, then we start to look at and go, oh, that's going on. So then we work with that and we work through that. So that's always I find people fascinating, and I find it fascinating to be able to watch how they change by unpacking those things, because I've done it myself. And it's I don't ask anybody to do anything that I haven't done myself and haven't go through myself,
Absolutely.
Because I was on the floor. I literally had a complete and utter breakdown after my experience, and I had to rebuild myself. So I'm not going to ask anybody to do or go through anything that I haven't personally worked through myself or looked at all the different ways in which you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's perfect. That makes perfect sense. So let's get on to your book then. So your book, Dying to See You, I've read obviously synopsis. I've spoken to Pam, who's read it, friend of ours, Pam Wills. So again, let's talk about, I mean, obviously I know some about it and how it's come about, but so could be quite a big reveal really to somebody who doesn't know. So why don't you give us a little insight into what it's about and the amazing way that you came to write it, obviously.
So the book's called Dying to See You. And basically 10 years ago now, my husband passed away, and he had cancer and he passed away. And it was really hard to then have to, obviously my children were my focus. It was about getting them through as much as possible without, they're not going to not be touched by that or affected by it. But as, to keep the channels open, to always be available so that they could talk their feelings through, etc. But in doing that, I kind of didn't really focus on my own so good. And I kind of, you've got to be that strong one all the time. And then 4 years after my husband passed away, I suffered a massive heart attack. And literally thought I had just indigestion, kept being told I had indigestion. Then the pain was just so bad one day, I phoned up the paramedics and they sent an ambulance out and they said, it's not your heart. Can you walk out to the ambulance? And got me on all the monitors in the ambulance and went, yeah, it's definitely not your heart. We don't know what's going on. Let's get you into hospital. Went into hospital. They rigged me up. Doctor said, yeah, it's definitely not your heart. We think we're going to arrange for an emergency camera down your throat to see what's going on. Maybe you've got a burst ulcer or something. And they went off. Now, my daughter was beside me. She was 16 at the time. And I just remember saying to her, I was in so much pain. I didn't care what they were going to do. I just wanted to
do something. Yeah.
And I just said to her, I've got to tell you, I feel really lightheaded and I think I'm going to pass out. And she went around the bed to go and get me some water. And she said, as she turned back to look, I'd gone into a massive seizure. And she said, and then suddenly everything just flatlined and she was screaming for help and people were running
to go through as well.
And pulling her off in one direction and taking me off in another to resuscitate. And they worked on me for some time. But for me, my experience was completely different.
Yes.
But literally, as I said to her, I'm just going to give you a heads up, I think I'm going to pass out. In my world, I literally turned the other way and my husband was stood by the bed, and I was so excited to see him. I just leapt off the bed and into his arms and just hugging him and just breathing him in and smelling him, and holding him and drinking him in, thinking, oh my God, where have you been? You know, it's like amazing. And then he was just like, I've got so much to show you. And we were gone. And I didn't look back. I didn't think anything of it. Didn't even cross my mind that, oh no, I think I might have died.
Yeah.
Just into the journey. And it was such a mix of completely natural and feeling like I'm home, and it just feels wonderful, and also this is also new and exciting. It's a real weird kind of dynamics. And then unfortunately for me, then by the time I'd gone through a whole journey over there with my husband, I met up with my grandparents and an auntie and my other grandparents, and they each took me on a journey to show me some of the things they choose to do on the other side. And then I was basically told it's time to go back. And I remember feeling really panicked and sort of saying, me, no, hold on a minute, I've just got you back. What do you mean I've got to go back? And I remember my husband just looking at me and saying, you've got to go. What about the kids? And I was like, oh, the kids. And it was like, it was that feeling of like you've lost them in the supermarket somewhere, you know, and it's like, oh God, the kids. And he just shoved me. And the next thing, I've got this doctor yelling in my face and shouting my name. And I remember just looking at him and thinking, God, you're rude.
Oh, so funny.
In my face.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're really ill and we're rushing you into theatre now, and you know, we're going to pass your parents and your daughter down the corridor. There's no time to stop and talk. They'll literally be able to say hello as you pass by. That's it. And I did. I just saw their faces go round, and then the next thing I know, he's yelling at me again, because as I'm coming to, there's all these people stood around me and this nurse is in my face, and he's yelling at me, don't move, I'm in your heart. I'm thinking, what the hell is he doing in there?
Oh my God.
Get out. What are you doing? Get out.
Jeez.
And they were literally putting stents in to keep me alive.
This is a shock. I didn't know about this bit. I read some of it, but this bit's a surprise for me. Good Lord.
It was just,
yeah, that's incredible. And did you, like, obviously, are they such vivid memories to you that you felt like immediately when you were able to, and once you knew where you were and you were back present, did you feel like, I need a pen, I need to write this down? Or was it just so vivid that you just like, I will always, I've got that there kind of thing?
It is so vivid. You know, like your most crystal
not like a dream. That's the thing, because you know what it's like with dreams. You know, when you have a dream, you wake up and you start saying the dream and it's gone and it's going and you're trying to keep it. And the more you talk about it, the further away it feels, and then you forget it.
This was as vivid as your most vivid memory of something that you've experienced. And I think that was some of my problem, because obviously I then began this self-discovery journey, because we're in this real battle within. I call it, the chapter is called A Battle Within, because I was having this fight within myself. There was a huge part of me that wanted to be home and back with my husband and back in that useful energy. There was another part of me that felt incredibly guilty for feeling that, because why would I not want to be here with my kids? And you know, my friends, and it was such a mix of everything. I felt rejected. I felt like I was having to grieve my husband from the beginning all over again. And I didn't want to talk to anybody about it, because I felt that I felt shame around what I was feeling, because how could I not be happy to be back, you know, with everyone? Who's going to believe me if I tell them what's happened the other night? And also at the same time, there's this, I was peed off if you like, with the spirit world, because I've been working as a medium and now I feel completely rejected by them. Like, you're not good enough to stay, go back.
Right, yeah.
So I shut myself down and just went, no, I'm not going to take my connection. I threw myself into everything, physical, everything. I started a business. I threw myself into a business with a couple of really good friends of mine, and lost a lot of money in the process because I was just trying to hide from everything that I was
following your intuition, were you? That was the thing. You were blocking it. That's so interesting. And is that how the book came about? Like, did the book come about quite soon after the experience, or was it a more longer kind of book?
So 18 months after the experience, I had basically a breakdown, complete and utter breakdown. I had an intervention where my parents, I thought I was doing a really good job of hiding everything, and that no one could tell that I was suffering inside. But obviously it was getting worse to try and hide that. And I got a call. Well, my parents came around to see me and basically went, we've just been to see the doctor for your dad, and the doctor says he needs to see you for a blood pressure check, and and I was like, oh, right, okay. So I phoned up, and I didn't even twig then. I phoned up and sort of said, and they went, oh, we've got nothing for a few weeks. I was like, it's fine, whatever. And then once I gave her my name, she was like, oh, we've got a cancellation tomorrow if you want to come in tomorrow. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And of course walked in, and he just sat back and just went, okay, talk. What's going on? And I just kind of broke down, and it all came flooding out. And he said, we can get you antidepressants, and we can organise counselling, and it's a lot for you to have dealt with. And I just remember something inside me switching and going, no, hold on a second, let me work on myself. Let me work on myself, because I've just got to go away.
In an alternate universe, you would have been in a completely different place had you gone down that route of medication and allowing someone else to control your recovery and how you were dealing with everything, basically.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, the bottom line is, I'm not saying that medication isn't good. And
no, absolutely.
Really worked. There was just something within me that flipped and switched and went, no.
Yeah, I need to do it myself. Yeah.
I remember walking out of there, and I remember sitting in the car and just crying and letting it all out, and just saying to the spirit world, I need your help. I reopen myself up to you. I need your help. And this beautiful calm energy washing over me, and this voice just saying, we've been waiting for you. And it was, I look back now, I can see with hindsight now that I can look back and say, this complete journey I had to go through all of this.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
In the breakdown to understand the journey, because it forced me to go back over everything I'd experienced.
Absolutely.
It forced me to understand from the position of being in that dark hole where you just don't feel like you can climb out of it. And really being able to embrace the changes of life. So I started to write down my memories of everything that happened, which is what I did. And the book isn't a massive book. It's not a big book. It's literally, some people have read it in an afternoon. They've read it in a day. Because I didn't want it to be. My husband always had this thing that he couldn't read a book if it was too big.
You didn't want it was kind of
like, too much. So it was like, keep it simple, keep it small. I'm just going to write down my memories of what I experienced. And then the second half of the book is me going back over the memories to what I learned from them and what I gleaned from each sort of section and each part.
And like, from your point of view, when you were doing that, was it quite cathartic as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say. I often find that when I speak to authors, they say, you've got your one, like you write a book, and then when you're obviously rereading it, it brings out other aspects as well that you then change things slightly, or it affects you in a different way. So here's a question for you, because I've not lost a partner through death, but I lost my father, and it's very similar to you. I shut everything. I was fine, strong, I'm good for a long time. Would you say that it's the sort of book that is helpful, like for any particular person going through a particular thing, or is it a general help type thing? Like, what sort of people do you think resonate with it? People that have experienced a loss, that are maybe struggling how to come to terms with that, people that are quite closed off spiritually? What sort of people do you think would benefit from reading?
I have honestly found such a mix of people, and I really thought it was one of those, I was kind of like I said, I never discussed my experience with anybody because I didn't want anyone else's opinion to influence, my memory.
Absolutely.
I thought it's going to be like a niche book that only people that really understand spiritualism or understand,
It sounds like an incredible story to me right off the bat from the beginning. So I would want to read, I've got it on order, but I want to read it because it's a story at the end of the day as well, and it's a journey, isn't it? So
what's so fascinating is the amount of people that have either they've lost somebody and it's helped them to understand that if they watched a loved one suffer, that towards the end and hated the fact that they were suffering. If you think about the fact that my daughter had to witness my body going through a massive seizure to the point of I literally bit through my tongue and my tongue had to be stitched all up afterwards. Now, I went through all that. I was unaware of any of it. I was literally in this most amazing happy place. And
that's so comforting, isn't it, as a relative?
If you as a relative have watched your loved one suffer or feel that they're in any comfort towards the end, the fact actually that they've already stepped aside, they've already stepped out. I think people have come to how much comfort, those that are afraid of death have real comfort in the understanding of that there is something else, and how the transition was kind of easy enough. I found other people that have found it really helpful just to understand life, because I think to understand death helps you to understand life.
100%. Completely.
You to look at your life and say, actually, what do I want from this life? Or what do
it helps you reassess, doesn't it? I think. I mean, I didn't go through an experience like yours in the same way at all, but I had a drowning experience where I remember drowning. I remember not being able to breathe anymore, and then I remember waking up afterwards, basically being being resuscitated, but basically then being able to breathe and then ridding my lungs of water. And I remember the moment I drowned, I was very peaceful. Like, drowning is horrible to watch because like you see it in the films, it's not like that. No. I drowned at about 20 meters in a diving accident, and my lungs filled with water, and it was very violent initially. And then my partner at the time said, and then you just went completely peaceful. And I remember that part being super peaceful, and it sounds like an awful thing to say, but I remember thinking, well, if I'm going to go, it's not the worst way to go. It was horrible at the time when I was struggling to breathe, but once I couldn't breathe anymore, I had a little bit of time where I was still conscious, and that was the most peaceful time I think I've ever felt in my entire life. So it was not on the scale of what you went through. I didn't have anyone visit me. I didn't go on a journey, nothing like that. I literally woke up in what felt like seconds later. I woke up in the sunshine on the surface. But actually what had happened was a few minutes had passed. My lungs had filled with water. I'd gently floated to the surface so my lungs didn't explode, thank God. Otherwise I'd have been dead. But a few minutes later, I was, then brought round. So I kind of get where you're coming from with it. And it's, I think my mum said to me, because we obviously lose my dad, she said, I remember her saying, with death, it's not yes, it's awful for the person going through it, their life is ending, but it's how it affects everybody else. They're gone. So do you know what I mean? It's everything else that changes, really, because once they're gone, that's it. It doesn't change from there on for them. So I can't wait to read it. And I think it's, like you say, I think it's one of those books that is going to resonate with people for lots of different reasons. And I think as well, what's good, because I was never a very spiritual person at all. And it's only in the last couple of years that I've really discovered that about myself, that I am. And I was actually just holding it and repressing it down. So I think it'd be great for someone like me, or someone where I was a couple of years ago, to read your book as well, especially with an open mind, and feel that you can, it could help you move forward in different ways. So and before we move on completely, all I was going to say was, I know as well, you as you said, you're an intuitive coach. So if somebody wanted to work with you, what's the best way to go about getting in touch with you? I mean, obviously I'll tag you in on all of all of this, but do you run courses? Do you do, you know, like how does your coaching work and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So they can reach out to me through my website, which is mickyhavelock.com. And there's a section there you can contact me through. I run groups of personal development groups where and I always love the fascination of the way the right people are always brought together.
Absolutely.
You know, to work together, to really sort of like, and it's only once a month, so that you have time to work on the, you know, what we've kind of gone through that evening. Then you've got a month to kind of work through it, experience it, you know, try those things out and see what works, and sort of come together again and discuss how well what you did, and then we tackle something else. So I do run groups like that. I'm also obviously do private readings, and I also do private coaching sessions where it's more of a one-to-one, which is more tailored towards an individual if they're looking particularly kind of looking at, and that is very much something that we tailor to what you need and how often you need it. And that's not saying you need to have it every week.
No, yeah.
It's your choice of how often you want to kind of work on something and take
it's custom. Yeah, like you say, it's tailor-made, isn't it? Everyone's need is different. There's not a one size fits all. It's going to be different for every person and the issues they're having. Well, that is so wonderful. I'm so glad we got to go. I mean, it's like you said, people are attracted, you know, like, or people come to you for the right reasons. It's like Pam said, oh, your book club, you should speak to Micky. And I'm so glad I did, because like I say, I cannot wait to read your book. I know we'll definitely have you back on, and you know, I'll be able to talk about the highlights for me, and hopefully get other people involved as well. So if anybody's, you know, obviously wanting to find out about this book, I'm gonna edit this post, I'm gonna share it onto YouTube, it's gonna be on Instagram, on my IGTV, I'll tag Micky in as well. So, you know, if you want to check out the book, you can grab it off for Amazon, I think it was, wasn't it, is the where you can get it?
Yeah,
Amazon.
You can buy it through Amazon, or you can also
buy your website. That's it. Yeah, so get a hold of it, let Micky know what you think, because I know I've seen your website, you love feedback on what people think of the book and how it's helped them, so that'd be great. And I think that's everything, unless there's anything you want to add, Micky, before we leave.
No, I think you've covered everything.
Well, thank you, my darling. Thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for watching out there. I'm gonna, as I say, this is going to be popped up in lots of different places on social media and out there. So thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you in a month's time. Take care for now. Bye.